station. Kind of crazy. So, this is kind of like a in between the podcast and the after show. First, I know that we're going through a lot in the country. I want to thank Melissa Gould for coming on the show earlier this week. She won her election as a judge, so that was kind of cool. Um, some of the things that she stood on that really caught my attention and why I had her come on the show was um, for 8 years as a prosecutor, she specialized in sexual battery, domestic violence, child abuse, exploitation of the elderly, animal cruelty. Um, so I'm kind of happy we had a chance to have her on the show and meet her, and knowing that Manatee County is going to have a new, really good judge on their hands. Two, our Facebook timelines, obviously, everyone is freaked out. Some people are having a blast. Some people are losing their mind. I've been going through so much with my issues that at the end of the day, COVID-19 is still a problem. Wednesday, you had over 100,000 cases. They are getting a little better with that, but the testing still has a 20% false positive, false negative scenario. So it's kind of good and bad that way. But at least it's getting a little more accurate. When I went to the hospital on, I think, whatever day it was, Sunday, they gave me a little present called prednisone. I don't know if you can see that, but prednisone. And that seems to be what they're using for long haulers to help with inflammation, massive inflammation in the lungs and the kidneys and other areas. And it really helps. The reason why I'm still going to be talking about this, because the R naught factor for COVID-19, R naught, and I've talked about this a few times, and you can go watch the movie Contagion if you're curious, because they give you a really good breakdown of what R naught stands for. But they're saying the contagion factor of this virus is the same as the 1918, right? I know we have a short-term memory, we forget these things. But the R naught factor, basically, if you get sick, you're showing signs, you're not showing signs, but you're still contagious, you can get 2.5 to 3.5 people sick. And so I did a little bit of math for everyone just off of the 2.5 R naught factor off of 100,000 cases. And the math is staggering. The math is just staggering. Now, 2.5 is the lowest case scenario. 3.5 is the higher side of this virus, but I just went with the low contagion factor. And the reason why I'm going to keep talking about this is a lot of our northern counterparts who have not been going through what we have and are just now starting to catch up. You need to be aware. Best offense for this virus is a good defense, meaning taking your vitamin D3, taking your zinc. Those seem to be two of the best early things you can get. Now, don't expect it to just jump in your system overnight. I was fortunate enough that I'd been taking D3 for the last 3 years because I found out I was D3 deficient in 2017. I was also on a statin that kind of helped me out. I've taken drugs that the media hasn't talked about at all. I wouldn't say at all now because some of it's finally getting out there. But when you talk about indomethacin, all right, indomethacin, it's out there somewhere. If I can't, stupid thing can't. Indomethacin is what saved my life. Ivermectin's another drug that they're using in studies. I have shared studies with you guys publicly now that will break it all down. The virus is real. It's not fake. They didn't start a pandemic because it was an accident. When you talk about the R naught factor, if you take the 100,000 cases that were reported on Tuesday and you times that by 2.5, it equals 250,000 people. And if you take 250,000 people and you times that 2.5, that's 625,000 people. If you take 625,000 people times the R naught factor 2.5, that's 1,562,500. If you take that number and you times it by 2.5, it equals 3.5 3,906,000. You take that times 2.5, that's 9,765,000. Basically, you keep doubling those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 more times. It goes from 9 million to 24 million to 61 million to 152 million. Over 1/3 of our population is either diabetic or pre-diabetic, so they have underlying conditions. If you start looking at the death rates for this virus, because that's the other thing, it's less than 1%, 2% what they're saying. That's fine. But what you're not seeing is the long haulers. You're not seeing the people that are dealing with this, like me, who was healthy. I was pre-diabetic. That was it before. And now I take maybe almost 15 medications a day. So the election's going to still keep going on. Whoever the president is, whoever, I don't care who it is, we want a national treatment protocol for long haulers, meaning $100 billion into a fund immediately. We want to know how many known strains of the virus that we know of. There's at least 36. They're saying 50 in Texas alone. Now, normally a virus is a symbiont. What does that mean? A symbiont has a host, which would be us. And most viruses are not designed to kill their host. Unfortunately, this one seems to have such a high contagion factor that it doesn't care because it's spreading fast enough. Does it mean everyone's going to die? No. Does it mean that all the strains are the same? Nope, absolutely not. Some are stronger than others, and ideally what the viruses normally do is they get weaker over time. So that's probably the only good factor I can tell you with this is hopefully the virus strains that are coming now are a lesser and lesser kind. Unfortunately, it is a virus. Once you catch it, you got it. Now it's like the shingles virus, the chicken pox. Hopefully it gets to that point where you get sick one time, you have your outbreak, and then your immune system takes care of it from there. But for over the third of the population that's either diabetic, pre-diabetic, obese, hypertensive, all those underlying factors, we're going to kick this thing up a couple more notches. And unfortunately, all the stereotypes they've been saying about this, it only happens to old people. Well, that's bullshit. I've been in these long hauler groups now for months, and I see case after case after case that it's people that are millennials. Unfortunately, the African American community, you have some genetic dispositions that make you even more susceptible to this. So I keep talking and talking and talking because I know it's not going anywhere. I know the virus isn't because of the groups I'm in. All I'm trying to do is educate. All I'm trying to do is unify the country on how we can get a treatment protocol, how we can get accurate, fair news out there and real-time studies that can help Americans from suffering. And if you have a problem with that, I'm not trying to piss in your Cheerios. I want you to go outside, I want you to live, I want you to have a good time, like be an American citizen and live your life. But you also have to understand there is a virus that's contagious out there that can cause and wreak havoc on a lot of people. And if I keep hearing people say, well, only X amount of people are dying, well, I just bring this little fact up. 9/11, 2001, how many people died in that tower? And yet 21 years later, or 20 years later, 19 years later, can't think right offhand, we still honor those fallen. As an American citizen, I'm disgusted sometimes with what I see for how people react the second they find out I'm a long hauler. It's almost like the HIV outbreak from the 80s. People jump back. They're scared to death. I'm like, I'm sick, but I'm not a leopard. I have a virus I didn't ask for. It's been kicking my ass, and I've been trying to beat it every step of the way with everything you can possibly throw at it. And as a male that was pretty healthy before my accident, this has been a nightmare. Indomethacin is one of the medications I've been taking. Prednisone now is the newest one that's really helped with my swelling in my lungs. I literally have to take albuterol daily. I've been taking ivermectin, which I think really is what kept me out. If you're getting backed up, this will help you out a little bit too. I've gotten to the point where I have to eat 2 soft meals a day or protein shakes full of a lot of good nutrients and microbiotics to keep me here and not losing weight. Coconut oil is another big one. Coconut oil will help you with your bowels. Um, Boot Lab. This is for migraines. Long haulers getting migraines. Boot Lab. Uh, Butalb. So I bring up the R naught factor because we're getting into our winter months. There's going to be a lot of colds and sicknesses coming out there. So, a lot of people are probably going to freak out thinking they're getting the virus. But what can you do normally to help yourself? Just a good offense for this is a good defense. Take your D3, take your zinc. It won't hurt to take all your vitamins. Start eating healthier. Start getting rid of the sugars in your diet. Do what you can. If you're a smoker, stop smoking. If you're feeding your kids a lot of sugar, stop. Get them on a healthier diet plan because their immune systems are being depleted. And if you don't have a fence around your immune system healthy, well, this virus can wreak a lot of havoc for you. And we created the Hope for Humanity Foundation, hopeforhumanity2020.com, to actually help long haulers. And the reason why we're going to be doing a tour is to spread the word as a survivor, to help work with medical doctors and protocols like the Math Plus protocol to make sure the patients around the country are going to be getting treated fairly with early treatments and the proper protocols, so people don't have to suffer like we did, like other long haulers have. Losing your hair, losing your weight, muscle loss, muscle wasting is what they call it. Loss of taste and smell. That's the number one thing. It seems to be that how do you know if you're a long hauler? And if you are an early COVID positive patient, what do you do? Well, long haulers, if you've gotten either test positive or you've had positive signs of loss in taste and smell, usually diarrhea, your typical stuff you'll come across. If it goes away in 30 days and you're fine, just go back to your doctors for checkups. It won't hurt for the next 6 months to make sure that your immune system and everything's functioning normally. If you continue to get sick for 30 to 45 days later continuously, well, then you really need to get yourself checked out. Can it be underlying conditions? Yeah. Could you have a heart problem before you didn't know about? Yes. This election alone will probably cause you to have a heart attack. If not, the anxiety from the last however long we've been going through this will put you in the hospital probably if you don't maintain your health, if you don't go outside and try to learn how to relax. Staying on social media definitely doesn't help. We've had Dr. Rizal on talking about it, but here we are on social media. The show is just to help. We have a lot of different types of guests that do come on, and I got a feeling the next 30 days, you're going to see a huge, massive spike in these cases. Is it going to cause pandemonium? I hope not. If you guys want to go out and riot and turn it out in your cities, just know that this thing's out there. So be safe. I don't implement closing down our society. We can't. If we do, it is what it is. But we need a national treatment protocol for this. We need a fund, $100 billion fund minimum for long haulers for COVID-19, and to really get to the nuts and bolts of it. How many known strains are there? What is the actual timeline? Meaning, when did it get here? Because I've had many other long haulers besides myself that were sick from last year on and still getting sick and have been losing friends from it. So as a long hauler, and for somebody who might recently catch it, the virus itself, early treatments are vital. They're saying take an aspirin, something to do with the blood clotting early on. Seems to be one of the things they keep telling people to do before they get their tests back. Vitamin D3, you got to get into your system. You have to get vitamin D3 into your system now, not later. It's just you got to do your own research on it. And zinc seems to be another good precautionary tale. Exercise, keeping your cortisol levels low. Unfortunately, in this environment, I can't imagine it being particularly low without unless you're drinking a lot or hitting your little medical marijuana pipes. But as an individual, for me, every day I get up and thank God that I'm still here, that I'm still pushing, that as a long hauler, I have a voice, we have a show, and we hear other long haulers and we try to get the accurate information out there that's not been shared. It's amazing that, if you mention hydroxychloroquine, everybody loses their shit. Well, hydroxychloroquine and indomethacin are two different drugs, but they do the exact same thing. They limit the replication of the virus, meaning once the virus hijacks a cell and it starts saying make as many as you can, it'll go in there and knock that factory down. And then a Z-Pack along with it will help with the viral loading. And then indomethacin or chloroquine seem to be the way, and prednisone is for the later stages. I shared a very valuable document that's not public on my Facebook page. We'll be talking about it in the next 2 weeks on the show. We have a lot of information to share on it. But right now, most people don't want to hear about this. They've seen the 100,000 new people infected on Wednesday, but really everyone's eyes are on the election. And I can tell you my point of view is this: I'm a patriot to our country. Every president we've had, I've always supported. Every duly elected president I've ever had, I'll always support every elected president. We're adults. We can get through this. The next 18 months are going to be an incredible ride. Who knows what's going to happen? But if we just focus on local, focus on yourself, take care of your family, small businesses, and, just try to be a decent citizen to the country and a patriot to it, watch how fast we can get through this scenario. We've been through it. World War I, II, all the wars you can think of, the Depression. Florida seems to be doing fine because everyone in the country is moving either here or Texas. So I got a feeling Florida's going to be okay through this, but I feel bad for the Rust Belt. I'm hoping that a lot of the stuff that's happened will increase small businesses with production. Mel, who's on the Mom Squad, can't even get a damn printer right now. So I couldn't get a bicycle 5 months ago when I needed it because everything we have is coming from another country. So I hope that whoever the president is will help small businesses, will help reopen factories. Americans will start buying American-made products. Americans will start supporting their local community businesses. Opportunity zones are created for a reason. To put money back into the neighborhoods and the inner cities and the low-income areas to reestablish a good economic threshold, not a vacuum. Meaning, if you don't buy local and you're buying crap from other places, well, the money keeps going over there, not back into the own economy. What else can I tell you about tonight? I wish I had some words for both sides. Trump supporters, Biden supporters. This has probably been the most heated election in my lifetime. I know passions and values on both sides have been brought out. I know that either half the country is going to be a winner or half the country is going to be a loser. How you go through this is upon yourself. If you turn off the news, if you stop watching all the commentary, if you stop watching not so much the news itself, but the sub-channels to it where they're constantly talking 24 hours a day, and they have one person on this side, another person on that side, and they have a producer in the scenes behind their ears telling them what to say. You're not really getting the full picture. But as a long hauler, this isn't going anywhere. I promise you, a month from now, you'll still hear me talking about the coronavirus. Because I like to? No. Because you're still going to see the cases. You're going to see people getting sick, dying. You're going to see people getting sick and living. A lot of it has to do with knowing what type of strains are out there. And they're not telling us. And that's really an issue. Same thing goes for the timeline. When did it get here? It'll help the researchers understand if it's been here way longer than they say. It'll help with the progression of the virus, meaning it'll let you understand why and where it's moving and causing the issues that they're seeing. Like the faint brain fog, the PTSD symptoms that come from it, the taste and smell, why you keep losing your taste and smell, why when your immune system gets deficient like a cancer patient does, you're more susceptible to catching another type of cold or flu. Same thing with the virus that they give the flu shot every year. They give you basically inoculation of 4 or 5 of the strongest strains, and it's a monopoly game if you're going to get sick or not. So if you're already sick from the virus, you are susceptible to catching something else. They've confirmed that. But mainly you're still dealing with the original virus that you have progressing through your body. That's the biggest problem with it. If you catched it, had it, and it's 30, 45 days later, you're getting sick again, another 30, 45 days later, you're getting sick again, and you're getting sicker, well, that can really be vital without treatment. So please, if you're losing muscle, if you're having pains from your, nerve pain, if you're getting a lot of these things long term, do not go to the doctor. Get yourself some help and some treatment. Like I said, $100 billion relief fund. That's what I want. $100 billion. Why? Because people are still going to be getting sick. There is a large population right now, there's 500,000 long haulers I know of that are pulling their hair out daily trying to get help, meaning there's not enough treatment or help for people that can no longer take care of themselves because of a virus they didn't ask for. Yeah, you don't want to talk about it. Just like no one wants to talk about the election. But they do want to talk about the election. Just like no one wants one person to lose and the other one to win. It's going to happen. It's not a meme. It's not sexy. It's not fun. We got fatigue. You got voter fatigue. You got virus fatigue. You got hospital fatigue. There's a lot going on. But if you decide to just put your head in the sand and hope it goes away, you are doing yourself no favors. If you've had any signs and symptoms, which there's over 100 no signs and symptoms now of this virus, and you continue to get sick every 30 to 45 days, you need to start checking with your doctor and really locking this thing in, because your health is the only thing you're going to have once you have this virus to keep it off. They're not going to come up with a vaccine at warp speed. Eli Lilly didn't shut down its study because it was an accident. There's a lot we need to talk about, but right now you're worried about the election. You're worried about who your next president's going to be or continue to be, and I get it. But as an American citizen, you're still going to be an American citizen after the election's over. The virus is still the virus. It is still contagious. It's still a pandemic across the globe, and your family should be your number one priority. Whoever's in that office is not going to change what's going on with your family. Whoever's in that office is not going to change the business you work for or the people around your community. Whoever's in an office is not going to make you have a better day tomorrow. Only you can do this. So when I share stuff and I catch hell, one way or the other, it doesn't matter. I talk about the virus too much. I don't talk about it enough. I don't share enough of the medications. I share too much about it. Just be quiet. It'll go away. Okay, I'm waiting. I've said November. Wednesday was 100,000 cases in one day. I don't want to be right. I want this to go away. I want everybody to get through this. I don't want to see or hear about any more of my friends dying from this. I've been fighting for my life for many months now. I've got 7 hospital wristbands and probably $150,000 in medical bills just from this. I didn't ask for it. Now, on the show, we had the Machine Gun Preacher. And the Machine Gun Preacher, when he was talking about Africa, East Africa alone, next year, between 43 and 48 million children could possibly die from starvation because of COVID-19. Not because of the virus, because they shut the entire country down and they're going to have famine. So part of what we're going to be working with is machinegunpreacher.org's charity to help raise awareness and hopefully help Sam and his cause. on top of the hopeforhumanity2020.com. I know a lot of people want to jump and celebrate today and hope that their candidate won or will win. But at the end of the day, it does not matter to you or your family, because you and your family is all you're going to have to get through this, and your neighbors. Don't expect the next person in office to jump right up and do whatever you think is going to happen. This country's been divided for a very long time. All I pray for is that we can come together as Americans, as patriots, as brothers and sisters, and we get through this. R naught factor. Just look at that math. It's not science fiction. So I hope we can be better to each other. I hope we can get through this faster. I really, really pray for our country. I pray for whoever the next president's going to be, because it is not going to be an easy time. I pray for all American citizens to come out with a calmer head. The rioting and looting's got to stop. Small businesses have to survive this. And if you're looking for drugs and medications, as a long hauler, there's long hauler groups across the planet now. So if you're a Facebook person, just Google long hauler and watch the groups that pop up. If you're new to it, there's some newer groups. If you've been around longer, there's some longer groups that can help you. A lot of it it's kind of depressing to see. But these are real people that are suffering. So the show is to help, I promise you. It's not to scare you. It's not to make you feel I don't have a word when I want to tell you how I mean it, but it's a real thing. Just take this seriously. And I pray we get through the election. I know everybody's looking forward to this weekend for some football and whatever good stuff, but dealing with the virus for me has been a full-time job. And I know a lot of you probably sick and tired of hearing about it. But every time someone gets sick, guess who gets reached out? Guess who gets the DM? Guess who gets the text message? And then after they catch it, they go into hiding afterwards, and they don't want people to know. That's a stigma that needs to be taken away. Same thing for the gaslighting. The hospitals are catching up to that point where they are understanding how to do some treatment protocols. Just understand it is what it is. I didn't ask for it. I know a lot of my friends didn't ask for it. I know several of my friends who passed, they sure as fuck didn't want it. So take it serious. Be a good brother or sister to each other. I love you guys. That's all I have to say about that for tonight. Thank you for supporting the show. We do get a lot of messages of support, which is great. And I hope that this message will reach one person just once a day and let them know that there are more of us out here that won't stop until we get a fund, we get a program, we get a national council, we get a voice at the table. We get to sit with the big boys and figure out what in the fuck are they doing to get this taken care of, and get some acts, get some answers. Basically, that's what we try to do, and share a little bit of fun on the show. We had Sherlock, we had the Machine Gun Preacher, we had the Judge. We have more people coming on. So thank you guys for supporting it. The Dan the Messenger podcast is available anywhere. It's on the podcast playground. It's featured. Thanks to Gentry Thomas and his boys for doing that. And we'll keep up the after shows once they're back up, and we'll have more people on the show for the after parties, after show, whatever you want to call it. Free talks like V and Tank and Shady, he's been busy just rehabbing. And the Dan the Messenger website will be up soon, and the radio station's going. Let's see what's on the radio station. I don't even know. Anyways, guys, have a good night, and I pray we all get through this.